Hey people, what's going on? HBCU Game Day, Vaughn Wilson here, and we have a special guest on the line from Daytona Beach, Florida. The head men's basketball coach and director of athletics, Reggie Theus. Now, Bethune had his share of issues over the last couple of years, but it appears Mary's school has turned the corner. The basketball program this year made some real noise in the SWAC tournament. And then right at the end of that, a great donation came into the school, and we know how important those are and how hard those are to come by. So the man at the center of it all is joining us today, Coach Reggie Theus. Coach, how are you doing today, man?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you. Thank you. How are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing great. I want you to, as soon as this interview is over, I want you to run a couple blocks over to Bethune Grill, grab me a plate, and see if they can FedEx it up here to me.
No problem. That we can handle that with no problem because they're always on fire over there.
Always on fire. You know, yeah. and if I go in there with orange and green, they're going to let me have it. And so, you know, it is what it is. But
so they'll today, point that, see that guy right there? See that picture right there? That guy right there is looking at you right now.
Right. I mean, they sneak pictures of me with the camera phones. Like, what is he doing in here? Yeah, I'm coming to get some wings just like you are. But Coach, let's start with your. I can't say the first, but one of your duties at Bethune-Cookman University is being the head men's basketball coach, and rebuilding that program back to one that was prominent at one time. It's a build. It is a and with the added aspect of dealing with the transfer portal. I always say that coaches now have to be prepared for a new team every year. It's just the reality of the transfer portal. How have you adjusted to both being a head coach at Bethune-Cookman University, as well as integrating the dynamics of the transfer portal?
Well, I mean, it is a loaded question because it is dynamic when it comes to what you have to deal with. I think coaches now sort of relegate themselves to every 2 years having a brand new team. And as you said, every year you could lose players, but it's difficult. When you don't have NLIs, when you don't have facilities, when you don't have certain types of things, it makes things that much more difficult. The bigger problem is that the kids get a false sense of security. They get a false sense of the grass is greener on the other side. When statistics show that a large number of the kids that transfer don't go to a better place for them personally. They don't play more minutes. They don't score more points. And a lot of them end up in the transfer portal again. So it's a catch-22. It's fool's gold sometimes. And it really does make it difficult for coaches to build a culture. You hear me use that word all the time, culture. And it's really hard when you have kids that, when you look at free agency, when you look at what happens in the NBA and professional sports in general, it perpetuates no loyalty. It becomes more about the dollar. It becomes more about what can you do for me? And even kids on this level, because we're always recruiting above our level. These kids, one of the first questions that come out of their mouth is, what are you going to do for your NLIs? What do you have for stipends and these things? So it becomes the second question out of their mouth is about money. And that makes it very difficult here.
Yeah, it is a dynamic that has changed the scope of college athletics. I personally think the NCAA opened Pandora's box with no direction, and now they're trying to reel it in, which is going to be a whole different scenario. Even we look at Nick Saban. I mean, of course, Nick Saban is up in age, but we've all felt he could coach longer, but I think he just got tired, grew tired of not coaching football and more having to manage the things outside of the game. And that's kind of what drove him away.
Well, Vaughn, honestly, you're dealing with kids and their platform. You're dealing with kids and their social media and how they see themselves as a commodity. Now, athletes have always been commodities. And the greatest thing about our kids today is they are They're well versed in the avenues of the world because they can dial everything up with the touch of a touch of fingers. The worst thing is that too much can be overwhelming for them. And when you put money on the table, their parents get involved and their needs of their family get involved. And then listen, players always think they're better than they are. Every single one of these guys that play professional, college, whatever, thinks they're going pro. And ultimately, whether you go pro or not, if you have a chance to make money, how do you deny that? How do you say, hey, don't do that, or that kind of thing, I think that sometimes they sell themselves short by trying to go for, a little bit of money when this is about having, a career and long-term financial stability, not just some quick fix. But it's really tough. And older coaches, more established coaches, think about Nick Saban. He has all the money he needs. This is not about money for him. He has all the NLI money that he wants. It's really about the ability to mentor, the ability to coach the game the right way, the understanding that you are not a pro yet, and you need to do things a certain way. You have to build your culture of your program. One of the most things that I charge on all the time is that one of the reasons why I like being in college is because you can mold your kids. You can push them in the direction. You can really, your team does take on the personality of the coach, and it becomes just that culture where now the kids are there. Basically, they don't care where they go to school anymore. They don't care who's coaching them. They only care about how much money they're going to make. That's pretty sad.
Well, we know that is a big subject in college sports, but through all of that, the Wildcats went into the SWAC tournament and really had a successful tournament. Just talk about, how you all navigated the tournament this year and the success that you had.
The one thing I'm really proud of coming through to Bethune-Cookman is that, my first 2 years, this is my third year now. My first 2 years, I was playing with the guys that were here. And this was my first year with basically my entire team being guys I recruited, except for maybe one guy. And in changing that, in building that, we became more talented, more athletic, and really, one of the most potent teams in our conference. But at the same time, I think that because of my first 2 years, we started to build a culture that I always talk about. So those guys really helped me set the table for the guys I have now. And, everybody goes through things. We went through some injuries, went through some different types of things during the course of the year. But coming into the middle of the season, when we really started to understand, and I told our guys that we wouldn't play our best basketball till, sometime late January, February, hopefully going into March. And that's exactly what happened. It was a great run. We have an opportunity to build on that now. We woke a lot of people up. A couple of wins we had early. They kind of like maybe slid by some people. But when you're in the top 5 or 10% in pace of play, when you're averaging I think the second most points in the conference, and you're turning people over, where we led the nation in steals. And our pace of play was, like, as I said, was way up there. It's a style of basketball that's fun. I believe in the pace of play. I believe in playing with fast tempo, but I don't believe in run and gun. My guys know that we don't jack threes. We're always looking for a good shot. And what is a good shot for you, Vaughn, and a good shot for me might be different things.
Well, so mine would be a layup in the lane where I could bank it off the square,
There you go. And as long as you were doing that, you could do that all you want. But helping guys understand who they are and getting them to the point where they're playing their best basketball, the best player that they can be, and becoming a team is really what we're still trying to build. And we got a ways to go, but we've set ourselves up to be successful.
And then as you navigated through the tournament, then it garnered an invitation, which was that the first in Bethune history?
Well, no, it's the second time they've gone to postseason. They had an NIT bid years ago. I think I'm going to say 18, 19, something like that, which I thought was great. And then this, the interesting part about the CBI is that any type of postseason, you have to have a winning record to be invited. So that is another recruiting tool. That is another feather in, our athletic cap that, we ended the season. And at HBCU, at one of these types of schools, it's hard to have a winning record because you play these guaranteed games, in these buy games, what they call. And so it's very difficult to have a winning record. So for us to have a winning record, for us to win a game in the SWAC, I don't know in the history of the school how many conference tournament wins that the school has had, and then being invited to a postseason tournament, and there's only 3 or 4 of them in the country. So at the end of the season, there was only 160 teams playing, and we were one of them. So it was a proud moment for me as a coach. My goal is still to get the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats to the NCAAs for the first time in school history. That's my ultimate goal for our basketball program.
And shortly after that team had the success in the SWAC tournament, the news came out from a big donation from Mr. Liaran. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Liaran.
Mr. Liaran.
Yes.
Dropped a great donation at Bethune-Cookman University to help athletics. Just tell us a little bit about what that donation will do.
Well, Mr. Liaran has been involved in the university before, and it's been a long time since he's dropped off and hadn't been involved for years. And and we feel the lack of when we don't have people who are vested in the university. It's such a great thing for us, when we're starting to turn the corner. People see us differently now today than they did, 10 years ago. His investment in our athletes, his investment in our schools shows that, that this is something positive, because people like that, they don't want to invest in you if they don't believe in your stability, if they don't believe in where you're headed. Coach Alvin Wyatt did a fantastic job bringing Mr. Liaran back to the table. His relationship meant a lot to this donation, and what's great about it for me is that coming into the job, learning, and there's no secrets. There's a lot of adversity, adversity going on with people that were involved in the program before, alumni, and all of these things. And my belief is that we can get through that. My belief, and I told you when we first started this project of the football field, what did I say about that? I said, this project is bigger than just the football field. This project is going to give us back our credibility. It's going to start us in the direction of building all of these relationships back. So for Mr. Liaran to put his name on the new, what I would call the multiplex, it may not end up being that name, but what I call the multiplex, academic multiplex, because it's going to have an atrium, which will have a lounge in it. It's going to have academic services. It's going to have a laundry room and an equipment room in it. That's something that's very, very needed for the football team. And behind that building, there is the locker room that's being restored, that I've been restoring for quite some time now. And we've got everything in the locker room except for the showers in the bathroom. We still are trying to build those in, and it takes money. But the football team does have a place to change clothes, and they do have a place where they don't have to go to the municipal stadium to practice, and they can come right out of their dorms, right onto the football field. And Coach Woody and the players are really loving it.
It's amazing as they say, what a difference a year makes. About this time last year, Bethune-Cookman was at a low point. They were things swirling around that didn't look great. There were images out there. There were personalities involved. And as I sat back and watched, um, I watched the videos as that all unfolded, and it did not show Bethune-Cookman University in a good light. I was invited back for the groundbreaking for the turf field, the turf practice field that you all so beautifully adorned the area with. And I could see some other cleanup going on, and you actually showed me on your computer, you showed me your vision for
Yes.
making that complex comparable to what colleges have, especially colleges of the size of Bethune-Cookman University. And for me to come back and see the total reconstruction, redevelopment, and reimagining of that area about behind the Hanfield Center, it's really quite an amazing transformation that a lot of people after this time last year never thought would have happened. Some people thought that opportunity had passed. Just talk about rebuilding that brand. And by the way, on the day of the groundbreaking, Alvin Wyatt told me, he said, I've been in contact and we're going to get together and we're going to bring some people in for some donations. So to hear you say that Mr. Liaran was partially courted by Wyatt, I think that's what he was referring to.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, we hired him because of that, because we knew that, you have to put people in place. Luck is luck, but you have to put yourself in position to get lucky. It's a smart move by our administration and myself to bring him aboard. He's well connected in this area. One thing I want to make sure that's always said, because I think it's important, and people have to understand that none of these things get done without having the support of our university. Our president, our upper administration, and our board of trustees really allowed me to have a vision. And we started this conversation before all that negative stuff happened. Our conversation started before that. So that this football field and this project and this mindset and my vision had been going before that. I brought that person here to help me realize that vision, to help me push that vision. It didn't work out. And I always say this, God uses people in the way that he needs to use them, and I think that all of the things that have happened, going from the most positive press in school history to the worst press in school history, all those things help bring people and make people aware of what my vision is and what I've been trying to do. Now, we fought through it. The university supported me through all of it. Our board supported me through all of it, helped me finish the field, helped me finish the temporary locker room that is ultimately turning into the permanent locker room. And if you haven't seen the field recently, it is complete. The fencing is up. It's a beautiful, beautiful statement of where the university is today. Not talking about 10, 15 years ago. I'm talking about today. And that's what you have to sell. I said this on many occasions, Vaughn. In athletics, in sports, professional or not, you can sell the future and you can sell success as long as people can see what that success looks like. That football field represents the success that we're in, the mindset that we're at today. I gave you a time and a month that the field was going to be finished. And I think we missed it by about 2 weeks, and so I believe that when it comes to our alumni, alumni giving is up. Alumni relationships are 100% better than they were when I first got here. And again, I had the vision of what I wanted to do. When I first got here, I saw what was needed. And I got, there was a lot of people looking at me sideways, not thinking that we could get it done. And again, even before the conversation, we started having, he put Charles Barkley in the picture. And that really pushed the narrative of where we are today with that donation from Charles Barkley. So I always want to give credit where the credit is due, because I do my job. My job is to have the vision. My job is to execute. And 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 what I'm most proud of, Vaughn, is that my administration, our board, our upper administration, I've gained and worked on that trust, and they trust the vision, they trust what I'm doing, and they've given me the opportunity to run with it. And now we just have to keep building that I call football facility, right? The two buildings on the end of ISB and Jesse, having the opportunity for Woody to have, Woody's had a great recruiting year this year, his first recruiting year. Well, he doesn't have that year if that football field is not there. He doesn't have that year, that year if he's not able to sell the future. See, you can sell the future, and we have to continue to show our kids, because we're in the business of building successful people, educating people, making sure these kids have an avenue when they're done playing football, because most of them are not going to play in the NFL. Right. We still have to show them what success looks like.
Well,
and proud feeling they get when they walk on that field is part of that success.
Well, one of the things that I have maintained after seeing what Coach Woody did with the team that remained there after all of that, after all of the fallout, and not being able to bring in many kids, I saw a very, very scrappy team. And I have been maintaining in articles and in my videos that the Wildcats will be something to be dealt with this year, with a full year, with the addition of the field, with the other construction that's going on. And the other thing I want to say is that HBCUs, we're a beacon to the community, especially for the young African Americans. We're HBCUs are a beacon. And now when those kids in Daytona and their parents drive down International and are heading out to the beach, and they look over to the right and they see that nice new field, that says something. As they see that construction going up for the locker room, and when I was there last time, the roof was being redone, and all these type things, that shows progress, and it shows hope, not only to just the BCU fan base and the athletes, but in the community. Our children look up to our HBCUs, and it's part of our responsibility.
Well, I found out when I got here, obviously, I wasn't an HBCU person before I got here. I studied and learned a lot about Dr. Bethune. I've learned since then, by building relationships with the city of Daytona, how important Bethune-Cookman is to Daytona Beach in general. Where the university sits, a mile and a half from the Daytona 500, a mile and a half from the beach, right in the middle of everything. It is a very, very important aspect of Daytona in general. So I've got tremendous support from the city. And when you start talking about the kids, we owe it to them to give them the best that we have. We owe it to them to not have the mindset of it can't be done, but in a mindset that it can be done. And when people start to champion, athletics, champion our band, really understand that student athlete or student experience, when it comes to all these things that are surrounding the school, those are the things that are going to bring your enrollment up. When you start to win in football, we're starting to build a really strong. We have the best atmosphere in all of the SWAC. Everybody that comes to a game, every game that's on television, that's all they talk about. The team is good, but our crowd is off the chain. So when you start to think about that, when you start to think about what my mind is looking at for the future of the university, I'm looking at our other field over there that's over by the business center, across from the band field. That field needs to be a synthetic field also. And that if we turn the field a certain way, we can put a 6-lane track around that. We had a championship track team without a track, and we can put a track around there. It obviously takes money to do. We have room to build a student center and a newer arena for our basketball team. You can put both those items together. So these are all things in my mind that I'm working toward to try to bring to fruition. And I'm just very proud of the job that we've been able to do in less than 3 years. I mean, that's the really scary part. It's only been 3 years, and we've done a lot when it comes to all the facilities. When you think about the other things that have been done around campus and our athletic situations, think about what the city did. Spending that money at the stadium, the jumbotron. I mean, there's so many things that have gone on, and honestly, we have the ability to control our own destiny, and everything being connected. As we get better as a university, as we come together as alumni, as we come together as administrators, and work for the same thing, it's going to build our population on campus too. And then at that point, we'll start to be able to attack and address some of the dorm problems that we have, some of the bigger issues that we have. It's a lot easier to raise, 5 to 10 million than it is 200 million, because that's ultimately what the university needs to really get everything back into order. But people want to see progress. And Vaughn, I've said this to you a couple of times, and I've said it to our administration. People won't help you. They will help you when they see that you're helping yourself. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I think that what we've shown is that the direction that we're headed in, that we have a very solid board, we have a solid administration. And even though we have an acting president, they're working on getting a president. And, that's something that they've taken the time that they're taking. But in the meantime, it's just like rebuilding a team. You can rebuild the team, but you still got to win some games too. And that's what we're doing. We're winning along the process of building. And I'm really proud to be a part of that.
And we are very proud of Bethune-Cookman University, HBCU Game Day. We love to see all HBCUs thrive. Underneath it all, we are all way more similar than we are different. So
we are.
He is the head men's basketball coach and director of athletics at the Trending Upward Maroon and Gold Bethune-Cookman University Wildcats, Reggie Theus. Thank you for joining us today, Reggie.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. You do a great job, and you're like, I'm a big fan. So anytime you call, I'll be there.
Well, I appreciate you. You all welcome me very much when I come to campus. A lot of Rattler fans say, "You gonna be okay down there?" Yeah, I got Reggie. I got Donovan Wells gonna take care of me, and of course Royce Reed's not gonna let anything happen to me. So it's a great time always when I visit Daytona. Coach, looking forward to coming down there. We will begin the road to the Florida Classic Special a little earlier this year. So I'll be bothering Coach Woody. He won't be scared to wear a mic because I protected him last time. I did not put the other words that did not need to go on there, but he was a tough coach when it comes to football practice.
Yeah, no, I'm a coach. I understand.
But anyway, thanks for joining us here today. HBCU Game Day for Reggie Theus and Vaughn Wilson. We are out.